Murdaugh, the family leader from the Low Country. Here's the story. In the shadows of South Carolina's Low Country, a tale of privilege, power, and betrayal unwrapping way. Alec Murdaugh, the attorney from a family that ruled the legal world for generations, stood accused of executing Maggie and their youngest son, Paul. Their brutality stunned even the most. A mother gunned down at close range, both left lifeless on the family's sprawling Moselle estate. The trial gripped the nation, ending small-town Southern drama with a real legal thriller. Prosecutors painted Murdaugh as a death man cornered by financial ruin and opioids, willing to destroy his to save himself. In the courtroom, the air was thick with tension. To witness every tear, every photograph from the crime scene, pulling Low Country deeper into its own dark reckoning. A guilty verdict would change everything, and it did. Wow, what an incredible tragedy. Annihilating your own family. I want to start by going back, and this is really, I think, the beginning of the investigation. You have the responding officers, body cam video of Alec Murdaugh in those first minutes after he has murdered his family. Take a look.
This weird scissor-replacing gadget is quickly the most popular gift of 2025. It makes breaking down boxes and tough materials easier than ever, eliminating the need for scissors or box cutters. My husband got me one for Christmas, but it looked kind of crazy. But one time, I could not believe the results. It's ended up being the most useful gift I've seen. Scissor is a new tool. It's through cardboard, plastic, leather, and more with ease. So instead of struggling with scissors and box cutter, I can just use this and get the exact same. What I do is press one button, and the Super Scissor does the work for you. Do whatever you need fast. Before I explain how it works, I wanted to let you know that it's on sale today, and you can get one by clicking the button below. The secret is its revolutionary fly design. These flying blades fire incredible 10,000 revolutions per minute. They move so fast that it basically vibrates right through whatever you want to cut. This fast motion allows Super Scissor to easily fly through materials without resistance, making cuts on even the toughest materials feel like you're cutting paper. But that's the best part. Super Scissor, first scissor that you do not to sharpen. Most scissor blades get dull over time, which means they quickly lose sharpness and basically become worthless. But Super Scissor's Smart Blade Release feature means you can swap blades in seconds. All you have to do is press one button. So instead of struggling with using dangerous sharpening devices, you can just swap a razor. It was launched to the market by an innovative tool company called Brand Tools. It was their mission to create a tool that makes cutting tasks effortless. So instead of struggling with multiple scissors and box cutters, you have one tool. Then they succeeded. And 12 months later, a new type of scissor was born. The product's word of mouth in the crafting movement community, but with the rise of TikTok, it started trending online, and inventory sold out faster than anyone could have imagined. Since then, hundreds of people have used it with spectacular results. Now the company is on a mission to get it in the hands of as many people as possible, and finally restock the Super Scissor. To celebrate the new, they're running a 50% off early Christmas sale on the product for the next 24 hours. Click the Shop Now button below this video, and you can get it for yourself or for a loved one with a 50% discount. They're so confident in the Super Scissor's performance that they offer a 100% Monday-day warranty, and that's why it's the best Christmas gift I've ever received. What I discovered by using it is I saved so much time and effort. Breaking down boxes, to crafting, to cutting fabric for sewing bags. Since getting it for Christmas, I've used it almost every day. The biggest time saver has been on those annoying cardboard boxes, from online shopping orders, to boxes for Christmas presents, to water and soda can boxes. They pile up fast. Now I don't have to stomp, smash, and stress scissors to get them to fit in the recycle. And the best part is, I'm spending less time working and more time with my family. So, reserve for yourself or for a loved one? Click the button below and you'll be taken to the official website to order. After all, we both know it's harder than you do, so why not save yourself some time and frustration on your next project? And sure, maybe you won't use this often, but what about your mom, sister, brother, or best friend? Imagine the look on their face when they open your gift this Christmas and realize that you just made their life so much easier. Wouldn't that be worth it? Now, since this is a limited time sale, I can't promise the Super Scissor will still be in stock by the time you see this video, but you can check by clicking the Shop Now button below. Take action now and get the best gift of the year at a huge discount.
This is them you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and got. And this is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most stuff has been benign stuff he didn't take serious. You know, he's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Okay. When did you get home? Right when you called, or go to the house first? Where is the house?
I came to the house first. My mom has late stages Alzheimer's, and Dad is in the hospital.
Okay.
I left. I don't know what time. I can go back on my phone and tell you the exact time. You check.
Did I check?
Yeah.
We got medical guys that are. That's what they're gonna do. Okay.
What are they doing? Can they hurry?
They are. Yes, sir. The gentleman that was out here already, he's one of the battalion chiefs. Okay. How did you pull up from back there?
I went to the house and they weren't home, which was odd. I tried to call.
Okay.
And then I knew they had been down to go to my mom's.
Okay.
And so that is loaded.
Okay.
You might want to unload it. But I mean.
Is this the only firearm this is the only one, or is there any more in the truck?
I believe that's it.
The only one? Okay.
I'm 99%.
Do you normally have any other firearms in your vehicle?
I don't, but occasionally
okay.
occasionally there's a pistol in there.
Okay. Just wait right here for me for a second, okay?
Well, you can check and they're dead. They are dead, aren't they?
Just turn on those.
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
Randy. Randy's all dead. Where are you now? All right. Yeah, the police are here now. The police are here now. That's my brother.
Okay. There's a lot you were here with them, for them or anything like that.
It was early tonight. I don't know the exact time, but
Okay.
I lived probably gone an hour and a half from my mom's, and I saw them about 45 minutes before that.
Okay.
I rode around with Paul for 2 hours this afternoon in the pickup truck.
That's your son, Paul.
It's giving bohemian. It's giving fluffy.
It's giving everything I want.
Preppy.
It's giving granny sweater.
It's giving, I just threw this on, but it looks really good.
It's giving rock and roll shit.
It's giving cozy. It's giving sweater.
I'm not afraid to mix it up.
It's giving vintage vibes.
It's giving holiday romance. And it's giving
free people.
free people.
Free people!
Free people. It's giving free people.
What sets us apart? At the Gwinnett County, we are guided by the mission to serve and protect through dedication, professionalism, active cooperation, and respect for human dignity. Our core values, integrity, service, respect, and progress, at the heart of everything we do. If you are ready to make a difference, join our law enforcement family. Start your career today with the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office by applying at gogcso.com. Your future awaits.
This is the beginning of this investigation. It brings us to the first question in our investigation. It's all about the defendant/killer. When did Alec Murdaugh become a suspect? How did that develop? Here to answer that question is someone who knows more about the case than anyone other than probably the Murdaugh, and that is the Chief Attorney of the State Grand Jury Division in South Carolina, Creighton Waters, lead prosecutor in the Alec Murdaugh trial, because you watched the case with me. Creighton, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here, Danny. Friday night from beautiful Lake Murray, South Carolina.
Oh,
so,
fantastic.
Glad to be here.
Fantastic. So take us to the beginning, right? So we're watching, we just see this is like really the beginning of the investigation. What happens, what makes and turns Alec Murdaugh into a suspect initially?
Well, I don't know if suspect is the right word. When it's a situation where two family members are killed and one is still alive, automatically that's someone you have to focus on to include or exclude. Automatically, if you have someone who is the person people supposedly dead, that's someone you have to focus on and include or exclude. And then automatically have someone who is the last person to have seen them alive. That's automatically someone you have to focus on to include or exclude. Alec Murdaugh was all three of those things. So right out of the gate, he's that law enforcement focuses on. But I have to point out that this was such a, as we all know, such a unique and stunning event. Law enforcement is showing up on the scene of the most prominent attorneys in the state, certainly in that area of the state. And it certainly was, a difficult situation for them, for anyone to even conceive that someone like Murdaugh, who at least outwardly had the reputation that he did, could possibly be the one who committed these crimes. So law enforcement shows up in a very unique circumstance. Other lawyers show up who are Alec's law partners, so you have the cream of the legal community in that area of the state on the scene. And so they had to navigate that, and they did it well. Ultimately, they did it very well. David Owen's interview with Alec, the process of looking at him, and somebody that had to be looked at from the very beginning. That being said, SLED and very focused on all kinds of leads, hundreds of leads, but those went nowhere, and the leads that we had that we presented at trial came back to us.
So was there one particular moment or fact or something he said or something that convinced you? When were you convinced he actually did this to his own family?
So I think, we became aware that the shell cases around Maggie matched cases on the property, and that gun was missing. The shotgun was missing. So we knew family weapon. That's obviously a pretty damning fact. Then we also, as we presented at trial, became aware of the raincoat that had the GSR on it. It became pretty significant. But a couple months later, as we're all aware, the side of the road happened, and Alec had been announced by his firm. He'd been terminated for stealing client money. And immediately I knew that's something that we needed to focus on for two reasons. Number one, that was such a stunning thing to hear about this lawyer who was so highly powerful and influential. And it was something that we needed to focus on just for the purpose of exposing, if it were true, and it was, the abuse of the judicial system and the abuse of clients by a powerful lawyer using his law-like steel. That in its own right was something we had to do. But also, as we started to do that, and we all of a sudden started the true picture of this man. And as we continued to investigate the murders and investigate the financial crimes, they ultimately dovetailed. That it was after a few months of that when I really started to understand who this man was and what was motivating him, that it really clicked. And of course, in April of 22, we got into Paul's phone and got the kennel video, and it was a no doubter at that point, from our perspective, from what we presented to the jury.
So how important is it for you, because we always talk about motive when we cover cases on Court TV, and we always are reminded that it's never an element of the crime. It's not something prosecutors have to prove. But as a prosecutor, and you're going, you're investigating a Murdaugh, how important, and a father and a husband as well, how important was it for you to get some understanding of the why of it and what impact did that have on you once you figured out that there was a reason, right? Because not an excuse, not an explanation, but a reason why in his mind he did this.
Yeah. So I always say that it's not an element, but it's the only element. And the reason for that is that is what we as prosecutors, enforcement as investigators, what jurors want to know is why someone could do something that is so far outside of the bounds of normal behavior. And So to me, that's always a crucial thing. It is the motive is ultimately evidence of identity and showing who do that and why could they do it. And again, that's the first thing that we're looking at. You're looking at all sorts of forensic evidence and all the rest of it, but as we identify targets or subjects are important, and the main thing I'm wanting to do is to create a timeline, paint a picture, paint a story of what's in their life. And when you do that and you really start to understand someone, then you can really start to understand what seems to be the unimaginable, and that's, of course, the brutal murder of someone's own wife and son.
Now, I know it's a relatively small legal community in South Carolina and the Low Country knew each other when I was down there. Did you know Alec Murdaugh before this? Had you had interactions with him?
Well, I was 2 years behind him in law school, but actually I did not know him. But I did know his father, who, as you know, was the long solicitor down there. That's a district attorney. We call them solicitors. And, of course, his father, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather, and the chief prosecutor in that area. But I worked with Mr. Randolph in actually a death penalty case where a trooper had been murdered. And so I did know Mr. Randolph, who was, sort of a legend in the prosecutorial community. Alec, I didn't know other than knowing him. Again, this family is well known, and the power that they wielded and the power that they had wielded in that area of the state, not only politically, so in law enforcement community, also judiciary, that all of that was economically, all of that was well known to me.
All right, Creighton Waters, the prosecutor, states when we come back, what impact did this case have on the Low Country?
I've never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son Pawpaw.
The matriarch of the family gets arrested.
Terrible. Donna Ailson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Markel.
Prosecutors say a bitter child custody battle was for the murder-for-hire plot. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant for the Ailson clan.
Now that the ship is rinking fast, blood doesn't matter that much.
The Matriarch Mastermind Murder Trial. Live coverage begins next week. Only Court TV.
The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict.
The state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Guilty. Verdict. Guilty. Guilty.
The guilt, what a moment inside the courtroom. By the way, that was the clerk, Becky Hill, who's gotten into some own drama that we'll be talking about during this program, delivering that verdict. And there's Murdaugh's reaction to all of it. Take a look. It was huge in many respects, but the way I describe it, it was really a big trial in a small town. Take a look.
But I'm innocent. Never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstance, hurt my son Pawpaw.
Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each murder indictments in the murder of your wife Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life. The murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life.
I'd like to start real briefly by thanking our team. First, excuse me, and put my glasses on. I tell you, I appointed Creighton Waters to be the chief prosecutor of this case nearly a year and a half. And I want to say I'm pretty brilliant because I picked the right guy. And I want to say thank you to Creighton Waters. Creighton, you did a fantastic job. I don't think there's another attorney in South Carolina that could have led this Herculean effort. We would not be here if it wasn't for SLED and Art Keel and his team and all of the men and women across the entire state law enforcement division, what they did to make tonight a possibility. I also want to thank the FBI and the Secret Service partners. We had to utilize many of their assets and resources. We couldn't do all the things that we did without our federal partners. We had a lot of local partners. We had the department, Becky Hill, Sheriff Hill and his team providing the security. They did a phenomenal job, and they were there. They were the first night on June 7, 2021, when Maggie and Paul were butchered brutally. They were the first responders, and they were the first ones to be there. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office were instrumental in supporting our investigative efforts. You all know Annie Kinsey, our chief crime scene expert, was with the Orangeburg Sheriff's Office. I also want to thank the city of Walter. I think the mayor is here somewhere, and the police department. They provided security. Thank you. This whole community has embraced our entire team, and I cannot thank you enough.
This robotic puppy looks, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smartest purchase I made. Last month, I got my granddaughter called Wuffy. I still can't believe what this tiny guy can do. This isn't just some stuffed animal. Wuffy has smart technology inside that recognizes and responds to her. He sits on command, barks at him, walks around the house, even tilts his head and wags his tail exactly like a real puppy. The first time Emma saw him, her eyes lit up. She cuddled him and didn't want to put him down. And happier than ever. She sleeps better now and smiles more than ever. Wuffy comes in gorgeous colours, white and brown, because it reminded me of my childhood pup. What I love most is watching Emma with him. When she puts his head, his tail wags and he makes these sweet puppy sounds back. It's like having a real puppy, but made from completely safe materials. 3 have already asked where we adopted him from. That's how realistic he is. Emma treats Wuffy like her best friend, feeds him stories, takes him for walks around the house, even tucks him into bed at night. She's learning love and responsibility. Emma hasn't asked for a real dog since. I have to admit, I got one for myself too. Living alone can feel a bit lonely sometimes, and Wuffy keeps me company. 50% off. Wuffy delivers all that wonderful companionship for under $30. Feed schedules, no vet bills or chaos. Right, you can grab Wuffy for 50% off, but only 40 left at this price. Don't wait until tomorrow. Price. Order now while the 50% discount lasts, and watch little world light up with Wuffy.
What's up guys, Shane Starnes here, and today I'm teaming up with Anchor Solix for a special Black Friday roundup featuring 3 of my personal favorites, the F3800 Plus, the C1000 Gen 2, and F3000. I've used these for everything from home backup to hurricane prep to trips, and they've proven rock solid every time. Right now is the best time of year to grab one. During the Friday sale, Anchor Solix is offering their biggest discounts yet, was off across the entire lineup. Let's go ahead and get started. When it comes to my favorite product in the entire Anchor Solix lineup, the one that I actually use every single day, the F3800 Plus. It's not my emergency backup solution, it's part of my daily routine. With time of use.
I mean, big case, all small town, brings us to the next question in our investigation tonight, which is, what impact did this case have on the Low Country? You know, for the community, for the legal community, for our system of justice. Here to help answer our question, Creighton was lead prosecutor in this case, the room behind bars. What are your thoughts there about having such a big case in such a small community? What's the long-term impact, you think? Is it a positive one, a negative one?
Well, first, Vinny, I'm glad you played that clip where Attorney General Wilson thanked everybody. You know, I'm lucky. I got to be the quarterback, so to speak, of the team. You saw some of the people standing behind them, jury division, people at SLED, Colleton County, just to name a few. And I'm just lucky that I had all around me that helped us succeed. at this Herculean task. But as to the effect, I think the effect has been massive, and not in that part of South Carolina, but across the nation. And, first started to do the financial side of this investigation, I met with some of that initial batch of victims that we indicted. And to a man or woman, many of them looked at me and said, Mr. Waters, I don't want any part of this you're messing with. I have to live here. And we told them, I said, look, I can't tell your story without you. I can change without you. But I promise you that you'll not be alone and that we will see this through to the end. And that was real courage, particularly those initial victims, stand up and be willing to their story be told. Because ultimately, if there is a positive legacy from the horrible murders of Maggie and Paul, which obviously were the most important thing, it was exposing this corrupt, powerful lawyer who had and his influence and 100 years of family legacy to essentially treat the judicial system that's supposed to be for the benefit of all, and to have justice, and just treat as his own personal fraud machine from which he stole millions and millions of dollars. So it has had, because I know I've talked to people down there, that there has a blanket lifted from this community ever since this case has happened. And not only that, fortune to go speak to various groups across the country, bar conventions, CLEs, law enforcement groups, and I've had judges, lawyers, attorneys, law enforcement, law students come up to me all across the country and say that this case really to them, because it re-enthused them about justice, about their legal profession, and it made them confident again that somebody who had power and privilege and wealth face accountability. And so that's, I think, the lasting effect of this, I hope, is that this case has shown that no matter what the setup was, a sort of a small town, maybe the sort of boss of system, that still justice could be done, and it was done in South Carolina.
As the case continues and the appeals go forward, a big focus is court clerk Becky Hill. What are your thoughts about what happened at the trial with Becky and the drama surrounding all of that, and now that it's front and center in this appeal?
Sure. Well, appeal is pending, and there are charges pending against Becky, so I'm still prosecutor and comment on those other than positions are. And of course, we had that hearing in front of former Chief Justice Jean Toll, and she ultimately brought in all the jurors and ultimately found that the claim that there was any effect on this verdict was not credible. And these jurors were clear about that. They came in and said that our verdicts were based on the law, the facts, and the evidence. But more importantly, Justice Toll concluded in her order that you had 6 weeks of this trial. You saw the evidence. You had, me and Montar Pootlian and Jim Griffin and their team. You had Judge Newman. You had all of this evidence, and the idea that a few fleeting, foolish comments, if they occurred, somehow were the tipping point in this case is, and that's what Justice Toll concluded. That's what we've argued on appeal, and ultimately our state Supreme Court will address that, and we are certainly confident in our position.
As well, Craig, it's been great catching up with you. He wants to know, when is the band performing next?
Today officially marks 1 year no contact with my parents.
I've been basically fully no contact with my parents for the last 3+ years.
We're talking about of estranged children who walk away from parents. What are they protecting themselves from?
I'm over it. I'm over the idea that parents are supposed to sit around emotional time out until our decide we're worthy.
Well, we still are. My band Lighten Up Francis is still playing. We can off in the summer, but we've been playing around the state. We'll probably pick up some more gigs during the Carolina football season, and also we'll be playing in Georgetown. So still enjoying that, still having a lot of fun doing that.
Fantastic.
Everybody's much more interested in my cover band after this happened, right?
Oh, absolutely. They love it. They love it. All right, Creighton Waters, great to see you. All right, folks, we got a lot more to get to. Up next, why did Becky Hill write the book? I'm Vinny Politan. We continue our investigation of the big small town, the case of Alec Murdaugh, the family annihilator, and all the drama surrounding the controversial clerk of court, Hill. Here's the story. South Carolina's Low Country, the trial of Alec Murdaugh was already a storm of murder. But the drama didn't end with the verdict room whispers, soon turned into explosive allegations involving Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill. She was accused of influencing jurors, breaking the sacred seal of impartiality in one of the most watched trials in America. Hill's alleged conduct, chatting with jurors, making suggestive comments, cast a shadow over the already sensational proceedings. Inside the pack, gaze shifted from Murdaugh's steely stare to the woman at the clerk's desk. Now under suspicion, could the integrity of a double murder conviction be undone by the very officials sworn to protect it? The Low Country had never seen anything like it. A trial where truth, lies, and justice blurred under the hot glare of national attention. And a whole lot of national attention on this case. I mean, this thing took on a life of its own. Now, after the trial, Julie Grant had Becky Hill, the clerk of court, on her show, along with Neil Gordon, and the two of them wrote a book about the trial. Take a listen.
They are the authors of the book Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdaugh Murders. Neil Gordon and Becky Hill are joining us this morning. And also important to note that Becky Hill is the clerk of court in Colleton County, elected position. And during her first term, she sat through this trial. Becky, I'll begin with you, please. Welcome to you both. Glad to have you on. And tell us, in your job, give us an idea. What do you typically do? And in terms of seeing a case of this magnitude, I would imagine the first of its kind for Colleton County.
Well, the clerk of court does a big job of being a liaison between the judge, the lawyers, the public, the documents that are in a trial. In a case of this magnitude, there's a lot of documents. There's a lot of paper. There was a lot of people that had come together from all over. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many places, just to be able to open our doors and have everything together for the trial that we were going to have. Any other day kind of trial was huge. It was epic.
The title, Behind the Doors of Justice, came from Becky, and she had sort of thought about it. Those late nights after 12-hour days, getting ready for the next day of trial.
Us to the next question in our investigation, which is, why did Becky Hill write the book? Why? Here to help answer that question is South Carolina criminal defense attorney Lori Murray and Neil Gordon, co-author of the book Trial Watchers and Becky Hill's book Behind the Doors of Justice. All right. Great to see y'all. It's been a while. Neil, why don't you start? Why did Becky Hill write the book with you?
Don't make up stuff, Ava. You have a 7-day deal.
Well, she wanted to chronicle what we understand is probably the century in the state of South Carolina, at least, and created such a buzz across the country. And she just wanted to hear the insight in real time, what was happening and how all the players came together. And of course, there was a profit motive. I mean, I wanted to earn some money. She wanted to earn some money. And we thought that it would be the first book out. Interesting because it's very rare, almost never happens, probably illegal in different states for a sitting clerk of court to be able to go ahead and share her thoughts. You know, there's a possibility to repeal.
Yeah. Lori, I want to take a listen to Rhonda McCleving, the Baldwin County clerk of court, see what she had to say about Becky.
First of all, she said we might want to write a book because she needed a lake house and I needed to retire. Then further conversations, a guilty verdict would sell more books.
Now, is society experiencing a crisis of masculinity? Our next guest argues the cultural and economic.
All right, Lori, why do you think she wrote the book? Do you think it's just, money? And what did you think of that line? A guilty verdict would sell more books.
Just poor judgment. Can we just go with poor judgment from the get-go? I can't tell you what is in Becky Hill's mind. I would never be what was going through her mind. Obviously, there's a money aspect of it, but I also believe it was not enough for her to be sitting at the front of the courtroom. She wanted to insert herself into the limelight, into the spotlight, and you can tell from that by the fact that she wanted to go on all the TV shows after the verdict was issued. There's a lot of reasons, but I think that mostly it was probably the attention.
Neil, did you share that idea that a guilty verdict would sell more books?
No, not at all. I honestly don't think it mattered. I can just speak to my experience with Becky. Never discussed that, or she never acknowledged that. Maybe I was naive. It just never came up. I was just too busy trying to look at each chapter and how we should look for readers. But quite honestly, whether it was guilty, not guilty, mistrial, or what have, I honestly don't think it mattered.
Lori, how shocked were you, as someone who practices down there, that this book was written, was published, and Becky Hill was the one, kind of behind this whole thing, the clerk of court?
Well, he's right. That it was the first book that came out, and there have been many more since then. But we knew from the very beginning there were rumors swirling in the legal community about what was in there that should not be in there. And I remember, I think I've told you before about the book, trying to figure out what it was. But it is all about the fact that she shouldn't have been writing this book. She was writing on the tax dollars of the taxpayers' time. There's so many things that just was such bad judgment. Such bad judgment.
Neil, what was your relationship with Becky? How would you describe it, and how did you get involved? Like, I understand how she got involved, because she's the clerk of court. She wants, but how did you get involved in all of it?
Well, first of all, my wife, who I call the OG trial watcher, who inspired our book, Trial Watchers. She's a photographer, although she did not get a media pass. She was just there because she was interested like everyone else. And she just happened to be on Photographer's Row the day that the jury and other officials, including Becky, were going to go to Moselle to look at the crime scene. And there was another sort of reporter with a media shirt on without a press pass, and Becky came up to my wife Melissa and wondered if she'd take pictures through the car of jurors, and so they struck up a friendship, and that's how that sort of happened. And then took a selfie. Melissa had her cell number, sent it to her, and then Becky said, "Hey, I wanted to write a book. I've been talking about it for months before you know of anyone." And we understand she sort of shopped it around afterwards to discover someone. And, I've been in sort of small town Augusta, Georgia now for about 30 years, grinding out an enjoyable media career, but I certainly haven't got rich. and I'd never written a book, and I just thought, you know, Vinny, this is my shot. It's unique. It's a little bit different. You know, and we did, you know, I think Lori probably knows the media attorney, Jay Bender, and in released public documents, so I can say his name, it was shared that he reviewed what the ethical implications were, and he told her that it is okay according to the law. Now, I think that law should be changed in hindsight, and I think there's a lot of laws in South Carolina that maybe should be changed.
Things got a little more messy. Neil, great to catch up with you. Lori's going to stick around because the next question is a big one. Should Alec Murdaugh get a new trial?
Not guilty. How shall you be tried? By God and my country.
Next week on Opening Statements.
A law professor gunned down, but was his mother-in-law previewing the matriarch mastermind murder trial?
Opening Statements with Julie Grant. Morning sitting, 7 Central on E!
In the U.S., government money directly to tens of millions of Americans. Although there are many programs.
Did your comments, or were your comments in any way phrased or one side or against another, more of a neutral comment about paying attention?
No, it was not for one side or the other.
During the course of the deliberations, once the jury went back there, did you have any contact with the juries or have any discussion with them?
Not at all.
Mr. Murdaugh testified. Did you tell the jury not to be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's lawyers?
Mr. Hart-Julian, I never talked to the jurors about any of the evidence
If the
in this
answer would be
case.
yes or no, then you can explain. Did you say that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever instruct the jury to watch Hemsley immediately before he testified, looking at his actions, looking at his... Did you ever tell the jury to do that?
No.
Did you ever tell the jury to Mr. Murdaugh's testimony?
To pay attention, not specifically to his testimony. I did tell the jury to pay attention.
To what?
Just generally, and that I was speaking.
Not to him?
No.
Just any witness?
Right.
Even that doesn't seem like it's something that someone from the court should. Like, if a judge wants a jury, that's fine, but no one else should be telling the jury to do anything. Interesting. That was her take, and she's denying that she was attempting to influence the jury to get a guilty verdict to sell more books. Now, I want you to take a listen to two of the jurors talking about what their perspective is on these alleged communications from Becky Hill.
Did you hear Becky Hill, of course, for Clarendon County, make any comment about this case before your verdict?
I did. Yes, ma'am.
What did she say?
It was the day that Mr. Murdaugh was taking a stand.
Yes, sir.
And she made a comment about watch his body language.
About watch
his body language.
His body language, I see.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else?
That's all I can recall.
All right, sir. Was your verdict on March the 2nd, 2023 influenced in any way with communications by the clerk of court, Becky Hill, in this case? Did you hear Ms. Becky Hill make any comment about this case before your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
If yes, what did Ms. Hill say?
To watch his actions.
To watch his actions?
To watch him closely.
Was your verdict influenced in any way communications of the clerk of court in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
The jurors just said she was influenced by the clerk of court. And two of the jurors have similar testimony about what she said to them. He's now appealed. He's now trying to get a new trial, et cetera. And that brings us to an important question. At this point, probably the most important question, which is, should Alec Murdaugh get a... Here to help with our investigation, criminal defense attorney Lori Murdaugh. Also joining us, attorney Ali Benevento. All right, Lori, I'll begin with you. Your thoughts here. You're in South Carolina.
Yeah, and we've been through this trial together, Vinny. Watched it from the very beginning, and I don't know how you have these kind of cops getting a new trial. I think they were extremely prejudicial. We have case law out there that talks about innocuous comments to a jury from a clerk of court or other court personnel, but there's never been anything directly on point that actually talks about the weight of the evidence that has not been given a new trial. I think that you have to really look at even whether they knew or whether they didn't know it was affecting their verdict. It had to have some kind of impact when somebody who was sitting at the front of the courthouse is telling you to watch his body language, which is that he's lying.
Ali, what are your thoughts here? Should Alec Murdaugh get a new trial?
Well, Vinny, there's certainly a whole lot here. And as you heard from the jurors themselves, what happened influenced at least one of those jurors' verdicts. And so the defense's argument here is essentially that the standard should be that this is unbelievably prejudicial. And it sounds, at least in one instance from that one juror, it had an impact. And so there's an argument there that, yes, we cannot have sitting clerks of court making comments to a jury that, exactly like Lori said, seem to imply that she's saying there's something he was doing or something he was saying that should have led them to believe that they should watch him carefully. I think we all know what the implication of that is.
Yeah, Lori, you know what's so shocking about this? We cover trials like all over the country, South Carolina, Florida, California, wherever. And every judge is always so important, asking the jurors, did you talk to anyone? Did you hear anyone? And here, like, I don't think any judge would, well, did anyone from the courthouse? Did the clerk, it wouldn't even enter your mind that someone working for the court would attempt to talk about anything relative to any witness, especially the defendant testifying in his own defense. And this is almost like mind-blowing. While it has nothing to do with whether or not he did it or didn't do it, it's about the process. So if he doesn't get a trial out of this, what does that do for forward in South Carolina?
I think it's not just a blow for South Carolina, it's a blow for defendants. But you're right. This is outrageous that someone in the court system would actually make comments about the testimony in a trial. And this appeal that's going on, and they called the state called these comments innocuous, silly, or whatever the wording was that they used, but they're not innocuous or silly. Then the state wants you to believe that the overwhelming weight of evidence of his guilt should outweigh anything that's these silly little comments. But that's, like you said, this is about the process. It's not about whether he's guilty or not. This is about the process and whether and I don't know how in this case, even if it's subtle, even if it was one comment over the month or however long the trial was, even if it's one comment, you have to, for the process and for the protection of the process, you have to come in a trial and let that process play out again.
And Ali, my guess is if this comes up in the middle of the trial and the judge finds out about it and does a little inquiry, that juror would be gone. The juror would not be able to deliberate in the case if someone had talked to them about the witness, especially in the courthouse. I mean, I've seen jurors tossed for much less than that.
Put these cleats on. We'll see what you got. I don't know. I've never seen nobody look at cleats like that.
Which foot is this going? The New England Patriots, 6 championships, 2 decades, and it's not by accident. Here, football is the day after day, week after week, you put in work. Or I'll say,
Yes, and this is a sitting clerk of court who had for years and years and years. She knew she should not have been talking to those jurors. And exactly like Lori said, this is about the integrity of the process. The evidence against Murdaugh may or may not have been overwhelming. He may or may not have been convicted anyway. But this is so much bigger than the trial of Alec Murdaugh. This is about, do we allow sitting clerks of court, court personnel, or anyone to speak directly to jurors to that a person who's not yet been found guilty is guilty, and to try to have an influence over that process. That impacts defendants everywhere, so far beyond just Alec.
Well, let me ask you this, Lori. We have about 40 seconds or so. In South Carolina, do you believe he new trial? And to me, that's a different question than should, right? Should versus will. Public enemy number one, undermine justice. If they have to do another trial, it's going to be another huge undertaking. Will he get a new trial?
Don't forget all the reputations that are on the line with this thing. You have Newman's reputation, you have Justice Toll's reputation, you have Wilson, who's going to be running for governor. There are a lot of other political aspects at play. I'll be really interested to see what the Supreme Court does, but I know they'll make the right call.
All right. Lori Murray, thank you so much. Ali Benevento, great to have you both here. You know, the evidence in this was, from my perspective, overwhelming. By the end of the trial, it was obvious to me that Alec Murdaugh was guilty. But sometimes that doesn't count for much on appeal if there was outside influence on the jury. Really need to keep an eye on this one, folks, to see if Murdaugh gets a second trial. But if he gets the second trial and wins the appeal, right, we go back to square one. He'll be facing the exact evidence, the question, same exact result. I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as he investigates.